Gina Marie Rodriguez is a white Latina with long brown hair and blonde highlights. She sports a beige turtleneck with a black blazer while seated on a red armchair. Behind her to her left is a small bookshelf, and behind her to the right hangs a red and black movie poster entitled Queen of Magic against the beige wall. My name is Gina Marie Rodriguez with Jersey Arts, and today I sat down with Jeff Friedman, professor of dance studies at Mason Gross School of the Arts. He's also the director of the Integrated Dance Collaboratory at Mason Gross, alongside the creative team behind Kinetic Light, the internationally recognized disability arts ensemble. I was lucky enough to speak to founder Alice Shepard, co-founder Laura Lawson, and scenographer Michael Mag. We had a wonderful discussion about their upcoming performance of Descent, but I'll let them tell you more about that. As the founder of Kinetic Light, what led you to create this ensemble? Like, say your life were a movie, what would have been the inciting incident that gifted us with this dance troupe? As the sky transitions from gold to amber to red, green, and blue, Alice Shepard, a multiracial black woman, slides in a spider position on her stomach down the shiny ramp. The shadow of her wheelchair is visible beneath. Her curly hair glows.
So if my life is a movie, who's playing me? Please let it be somebody fantastic. Anyway, Kinetic Light got started because we were making work. We were gathered. I had met Michael at Oregon Shakespeare Festival, where we had been on a panel and we had disagreed. And then we had a huge conversation afterwards, and we were like, oh yeah, gotta work with him. And I met Laurel way back in the early to mid 2000s on the internet, when I was blogging and Laurel was commenting and leaving snarky comments in the comments. And we'd known each other for a long time, knowing that eventually we would work together. And I had connected with Michael saying I had an idea and let's do it. And then I also was like, oh, no, this needs to be with Laurel. And so we somehow connected again across the internet, and we were deep in the process of making Descent, and realized that when you are that deep in making art, you actually need a name for a group. And I think it was you, Michael, who came up with the name for us.
Laura Lawson, a white dancer with short cropped teal hair, is flying in the air with arms spread wide, wheels spinning, and supported by Alice Shepard. Alice is lifting from the ground below. They are making eye contact and smiling. A burst of white light appears in a dark blue sky.
As Alice said, there was a long lead up to this as she was blogging, and I was commenting through this kind of pretense of her blog being anonymous. When she says snarky remarks, that was to the tone of, you do know we all know exactly who you are and exactly who you're talking about, right? This field simply isn't that big.
Alice Shepard, Laura Lawson, and Michael Mag sit side by side in their chairs, lit by stage lighting. Michael is a white man with long blonde hair and a flowing white blonde beard. They are wearing casual and rehearsal clothing, and all three are grinning at someone in the audience.
My co-founders here have accurately described the situation. I think that the interesting thing is that when Alice and I and an actress named Reagan Linton were placed on a panel by the folks at OSF in a very tokenized, let's have a talk with the audience about what it means to work in the arts from a wheelchair kind of conversation. Alice and I were at very different places on our journey with what it meant to be disabled and how we interact with the world and our understanding of disability rights. And she really opened my eyes. It was like amazing to me. And I thought I had a well-founded understanding, and I was there, and she was saying the complete opposite stuff. And it just like kind of, boom, blew open my mind. So we decided to go to coffee, and we started talking. And then in that conversation, from my perspective, what happened is that we fell artistically in love with each other. Like when we started talking about how to make art to address these issues, we were 100% on the same page. And we started sketching right there in that first coffee what Descent was going to become. It started as a coffee spoon because we happened to be at coffee, but it went radically far from there.
Would you mind telling me a little bit about
Descent, what audiences can expect?
A moment from Descent, captured in bird's eye view from above. Lines of purple and blue light designed by Michael Magg crisscross the giant ramp and stage, along with the various Rodin-inspired projections of figures. Alice Shepard and Laura Lawson embody Venus and Andromeda. They clasp hands and spin from one corner of the stage to the other, arms and wheels circling, dizzying, never looking away from each other. The view shifts to front-facing as Alice and Laurel chase each other in a huge circle, arms lifting and reaching.
It's easy to begin. Descent is a queer, interracial, disabled love story. It is in many ways an old school story ballet. And in many ways, it isn't. We have, of course, the ramp, the third character on stage.
A huge ramp as wide as the entire stage sits against a purple starry background. Shards of sunrise are visible on the left of the image. On the right, the shadowy outline of a figure hangs just above the black peak of the ramp. The main deck of the ramp is covered with projections of rippling blue water.
We are flowing between 4 embodiments throughout the course of the piece, up and down. We have the narrative being told by Alice and I. We have the narrative being told by Michael through the projections, and we have the story happening with all of it together. So there are actually 3 different storylines going on. In addition, audiences may be experiencing the non-visual form of the work through our audio description app, Automance, which is for audience members whose primary experience of art is through sound. They might be experiencing some of the work through touch, through a haptic interpretation of the audible components. They might be experiencing it in any number of ways. So what people bring into the space, Descent is a rich and complex work that is going to meet people in very different places, depending on where they are.
There was mention of the projections and the work that Michael does earlier. I believe Laurel mentioned it.
Alice is crawling on her hands with her knees in Laurel's footplate. Laurel is arching her back on the ground as she is dragged along the floor. A sunset appears behind them, and shadowy figures appear below.
Michael, can you explain to me and to our audience what a scenographer is, what a scenographer does?
Sure. It's the more European term for the person that embraces all of the environmental aspects of the design. So whether it's lighting, projections, even sound and scenic, all of those things combined. So it is the entire environment in which the piece is performed is sort of the world in which the scenographer lives. So we call me that because I kind of am the person that makes all of that come together. I don't do it all alone. I have many collaborators that work with me, but it's sort of my purview to make sure that it's all on point. You know, Laurel designed the costumes for this piece and the makeup. And so, you know, we collaborate and work together. It doesn't make me the auteur of the visual experience. It just means that it's my purview, and ultimately I'm trying to make sure that all of those things work together and tie together. So that's what the role of a scenographer is. Ultimately, in serving the dance, what are the dancers doing? What is being embodied? And how does that environment, light, sound, costume, scenery, how does that all serve what's happening on the stage with our dancers? That's my job.
So this, I can't remember the term, if this is the right term, busking. Am I using that term correctly? When you, can you explain what busking is?
Sure. Busking in terms of lighting and projections is when it's like improvisational jazz. I've created a tool, which is the lighting environment and the projection environment, and then I have the tools for playing back, right? So much of Descent was sort of created in that way, in that I created palettes of things while they were dancing, I live created what we were doing, and that informed my process, their process. They responded to what I was, doing. So it's very much like jazz in that we are playing off of each other, reacting to each other, moving together towards the creation of something.
Jeff, can I can I ask you questions now too? Can you tell me a little bit more about, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is a new initiative, the Integrated Dance Collaboratory at Mason Gross?
Jeff Friedman is a white man with short brown hair and a salt and pepper beard. He's wearing a white polo shirt and brown glasses in his office with a very full bookcase behind him.
The IDC is very recently formed. It emerges out of a commitment in the dance department to support a Dance for Parkinson's program. One of my colleagues in the 1980s, Pamela Quinn, is a dance artist with Parkinson's disease, and she's been completely supportive of the ways in which dance can help people with Parkinson's become both more fluid in their movements, but also more expressive in their lives. IDC is in formation now, but it has two main areas. One is education, and education both in the community in central New Jersey and the tri-state area, but also academically. We're creating a new academic minor in disability studies, and an adjunct of that will be a minor, hopefully in integrated dance. And then and we're serving various populations, including neurodivergent populations, as well as others, as long as we can finally get a studio that is fully up to ADA compliance, which is a big challenge for us right now. And then the other part is public programs. So that includes both academic lectures as well as arts presentations. And we really feel strongly that in order to make a big impact, that Kinetic Light is a great way to start.
My thanks to Jeff, Alice, Laurel, and Michael for discussing the IDC and Descent with me today. You can check out Kinetic Light and Descent on September 30th at the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center in downtown New Brunswick. Thank you for watching.